Dear students, you would have watched the lesson The Boy Who Drew Cats on the Victor's channel, where it was told that it was a folk tale. So what is a folk tale? A folk tale is a story that is transferred from generation to generation through the medium of mouth. And we don't know who is the author of such stories. നാടോടിക്കഥകൾ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ തലമുറകളിൽ നിന്ന് തലമുറകളിലേക്ക് വാമൊഴിയായി കൈമാറുന്നതാണ്. അത് എഴുതിയത് ആരാണെന്ന് നമ്മൾക്ക് ആർക്കും അറിയില്ല. You would have read a lot of folk tales. And here we have a Japanese folk tale. A folk tale from Japan, The Boy Who Drew Cats. Okay, let's come to our lesson. A long time ago, in a small country village in Japan, there lived a poor farmer and his wife who were good people. So, in Japan, in a small country village is a village in Japan, village, gramam. There lived a poor farmer and his wife. And in that village, there was a farmer and his wife who were very good people. And the farmer and his wife were very good. അവർ നല്ല ആളുകളായിരുന്നു. They had a number of children and found it very hard to feed them all. So the farmer, they had a lot of children, കുറേ മക്കളുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, and found it very hard to feed them all, give food, ഭക്ഷണം നൽകുക. And because there were many children, it was difficult to give food to all the children. The elder son was strong enough when only 14 years old to help his father. The elder son, മൂത്ത മകൻ, when he was a strong boy, and when he was 14, he started helping his father in the fields because he also became a farmer. And the little girls learned to help their mother almost as soon as they could walk. And the girl children, പെൺകുട്ടികൾ, they would help their mother when almost as soon as they could walk. നടക്കാൻ പഠിക്കുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് തന്നെ അമ്മയെ സഹായിക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങി. But the youngest child, a little boy, did not seem to be fit for hard work. But the youngest child, ഏറ്റവും ഇളയ, but the youngest child was a small boy and he did not seem fit for hard work. But he was very clever, cleverer than all his brothers and sisters. Clever, intelligent, ബുദ്ധിയുള്ളവൻ. But he was very clever, cleverer than all his brothers and sisters. But he was very weak and small. But he was very weak, ആരോഗ്യമില്ല, and small. And people said he could never grow very big. And what did people say? He would never grow very big. He will never become big. So his parents thought it would be better for him to become a priest than to become a farmer. So his parents thought. So when the villagers told that he will not become very big and strong, so he cannot become a farmer, ഒരു കർഷകനാവാൻ അവനെ കൊണ്ട് കഴിയില്ല. So they thought it's better that he becomes a priest. Who is a priest? Priest is a person who does the rituals in a temple. അമ്പലത്തിൽ കർമ്മങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുന്നയാളാണ് priest, പുരോഹിതൻ. They took him with them to the village temple one day and asked the good old priest who lived there if he would have their little boy for his acolyte and teach him all that a priest ought to know. So they took him with them to the village temple. So one day they took the boy to the village temple and asked the priest there. And they asked the priest in that village temple, ആ അമ്പലത്തിലെ പുരോഹിതനോട് എന്ത് ചോദിച്ചു? If he would have their little boy for his acolyte. Acolyte is a person assisting a priest in a religious service. ഒരു പുരോഹിതനെ മതപരമായ ചടങ്ങുകൾക്ക് സഹായിക്കുന്നയാൾ. He is an acolyte. And teach him all that a priest ought to know. And what should the priest teach him? What a priest should know. ഒരു പുരോഹിതൻ അറിയേണ്ട കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ പഠിപ്പിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുക. The old man spoke kindly to the lad, boy. So is the old man the priest. The village priest, he spoke kindly to the boy and asked him some hard questions. And the priest asked the boy some difficult questions. So clever were the answers that the priest agreed to take the little boy into the temple as an acolyte and to educate him for the priesthood. So the priest asked him some difficult questions, but the answers given by the boy was very clever. It was very intelligent answers, and the priest agreed to take the little boy into the temple as an acolyte. And the priest agreed, okay, I will take him as my acolyte, as my assistant, and as Sahaya Yaduthukollam, and to educate him for the priesthood and teach him for priesthood. The boy learned quickly what the old priest taught him. So the boy, he learned very quickly, വളരെ വേഗത്തിൽ പഠിച്ചെടുത്തു, what the priest taught him, and was very obedient, അനുസരണയുള്ള in most things. But he had one mistake. But he had one mistake. He had one problem. What is it? He liked to draw cats during study hours. So what was his problem? He had the habit of drawing cats during study hours, and to draw cats even where cats ought not to have been drawn at all. And he drew cats where cats should not be drawn. പൂച്ചകളെ വരയ്ക്കാൻ പാടില്ലാത്ത സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലും he drew cats. Whenever he found himself alone, he drew cats. So whenever he was alone, what did he do? He started drawing cats. He drew them on the margins of the priest's books. Where all did he draw the cats? On the margin of the priest's books, on the screens of the temple, and on the walls, and on the pillars, തൂണുകൾ. So he drew the cats on the margins of the priest's books, on the screens, on the walls, and on the pillars. So he drew picture everywhere in the temple. അമ്പലത്തിലെ എല്ലാ സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലും എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ തുടങ്ങി? പൂച്ചയുടെ ചിത്രം വരയ്ക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങി. Several times the priest told him this was not right, but he did not stop drawing cats. Several times, many times, the priest told him. What did the priest tell him? It is not good to draw cats. But he could not stop. He drew them because he could not really help it. Why did he draw cats? Because he could not help it. അവനോട് അറിയാതെ വരച്ചു പോകുന്നതാണ്. He had what is called the genius of an artist. Genius, very intelligent. So he was a very intelligent artist, ചിത്രകാരൻ, കലാകാരൻ. And just for that reason, he was not quite fit to be an acolyte. And just for that reason, he was not quite fit to be an acolyte. And just for that reason, what reason? The reason of drawing cats. He was not quite fit to be an acolyte. He was not fit to become an acolyte. He was not fit to become an assistant to the priest. Why? Because a good acolyte should study books. So a good acolyte should not draw pictures of cats. He should always study books. And for that reason, as he was not studying books and drawing cats, he could not become an acolyte. One day, after he had drawn some very clever pictures of cats upon a paper screen, the old priest said to him severely, "My boy, you must go away from this temple at once." So one day, after he had drawn some very clever pictures of cats, he drew some clever pictures of cats on a paper screen on the temple, and the priest became very angry, and he said very severely, strictly. What did he say very strictly? "My boy, you must go away from this temple at once. You must go away. You will never make a good priest." Why? Because you will never become a good priest. Perhaps you will become a great artist. But remember, you can become a big artist. You can become a great artist. Now let me give you a last piece of advice. So before leaving, I want to give you a last piece of advice. So what is advice? നിങ്ങൾക്കാർക്കും ഇഷ്ടമില്ലാത്ത സാധനം, which you don't like. ഉപദേശം. And be sure you never forget it. And be sure you never forget this advice. Avoid large places at night, keep to small. So what was the advice? Avoid large places at night, keep to small. The boy did not know what the priest meant by saying, avoid large places, keep to small. So he could not understand. മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞില്ല. What did the priest mean by saying, avoid large places, keep to small? He thought and thought while he was tying up his little bundle of clothes to go away. He thought and thought. Thought, think, ചിന്തിക്കുക. He thought and thought, but he could not understand what the priest meant. And when he was tying his bundle of clothes, bundle, kettu. So he was tying his bundle of clothes to go away. But he could not understand those words. And he was afraid to speak to the priest anymore. But he was afraid. He was fearful, ready to speak to the priest. Why? The priest may get angry. So, except to say goodbye. So he went to the priest and told goodbye and did not ask him what did he mean by saying avoid large places, keep to small. He left the temple very sorrowfully and began to wonder what he should do. So he left the temple very sorrowfully, sadly. Why did he leave the temple very sorrowfully, very sadly? Because the priest had sent him out of the temple and began to wonder what he should do. And he began to think what he should do. If he went straight home, he felt sure his father would punish him for having been disobedient to the priest. So he was sure if he goes home, his father would punish him. Shikshikuga. Why? Because he was disobedient അനുസരണയില്ലായ്മ. Because he was disobedient to the priest, so he was afraid to go home. All at once, he remembered that at the next village, 12 miles away, there was a big temple. At once he remembered. പെട്ടെന്ന് ഓർമ്മ വന്നു. What did he remember? That 12 miles away, there is another big temple. 12 miles. How many is 1 mile? 1 mile is nearly 1.8 kilometers. So 12 miles away, there was a very big temple. And in that temple, he has heard there were several priests, many priests. So what did he hear? In that temple, there were many priests. In this temple, there is only one priest. But in that temple, there are many priests. And he made up his mind, What do you mean by made up his mind? He decided. What did he decide? To go to them and ask them to take him for their acolyte. So he decided he will go to that temple and ask the priest there to take him as their acolyte. Now that big temple was closed up, but the boy did not know this fact. So now this temple was closed, but the boy did not know this fact. But the boy did not know that the temple was closed. The reason it had been closed up was that a goblin had frightened the priests away. And what was the reason for the temple to be closed? A goblin. What is a goblin? Devil, Rakshasan. A goblin had frightened, പേടിപ്പിക്കുക, the priests away and had taken possession of the place. Possession, control, niyantranam. So that temple was now under the control of a goblin. Some brave warriors had afterwards gone to the temple at night to kill the goblin, but they had never been seen alive again. So, some brave warriors is a brave or experienced soldier or fighter. So some brave warriors, they had gone to the temple at night to kill the goblin. But they had never been seen alive again. But no one has seen those warriors alive again. അതിനെ കൊല്ലാൻ വേണ്ടി കുറേ വീരാളികൾ അമ്പലത്തിൽ പോയി രാത്രി. പക്ഷെ അവരാരും ജീവനോടെ മടങ്ങി വന്നില്ല. Nobody had ever told these things to the boy. So no one told the boy about all these things. No one has told to the boy about the goblin. So he walked all the way to the village, hoping to be kindly treated by the priest. So what was his thought in his mind? When he reaches there, he will be treated kindly by the priests. The priest will treat him very kindly, ദയയോടെ അവനെ സ്വീകരിക്കും എന്ന പ്രതീക്ഷയോടെ he went to that village. Okay, now let's come to some questions and answers. Where does the story take place? Yes, where does the story take place? In a small country village in Japan. Next question. What do you understand about the boy's family? Parents were farmers. They were very poor. Then had a number of children and found it difficult to feed them all. Okay, next question. How did the boy differ from his brothers and sisters? He was very intelligent and did not seem to be fit for a farmer. He was very weak and small. Okay, next question. What did the parents think about the boy's future? It would be better for him to be a priest than to become a farmer. Next one. What did the boy do when he was alone? Yes, what did he do? He drew cats. So he was drawing cats. Next one. Where did the boy draw cats? On the margins of the priest's books, then on the screens of the temple, on the walls, and on the pillars. Next one. Why was he not fit to be an acolyte? Because a good acolyte should study books, and he was drawing cats. Next one. What was the piece of advice given by the priest to the boy? Avoid large places and keep to small. Next one. Why did the boy decide to go to the next village? There was a big temple where several priests were residing, and he could ask them to take him as their acolyte. Next one. Why was the temple closed up? A goblin had frightened all the priests away and had taken possession of the temple. And now let's come to the assignment. These are the textual questions. First one. How is the youngest child introduced in the story? Why did the parents take the boy to the priest? But perhaps you will make a great artist. Do you think the opinion of the priest about the boy is appropriate? Why? Next one. What was the advice of the priest to the boy? Fifth one. Why didn't the boy go home after he left the temple? And coming to the assignment of the writing section. Prepare a conversation between the father and mother of the boy regarding the boy's future. Okay, dear children, all of you have to do this assignment. I think many of you would have done this because this is the same assignment which was given in the Victor's channel. And I will tell who all have to send me the answers. Okay, thank you and have a nice day.